Welcome everyone to King Pit Dog Racing. I am Kevin, and this is my Chariot, nicknamed Sylvia, my silver 1986 Toyota Celica Supra. This vehicle I've owned since 2011, and it is a survivor. As you can see around it, it's not perfect and anywhere near. It looks pretty good for a vehicle that's nearing 40 years old. You can see the wheels here that I've got. These are remanufactured, redone completely, and then I've accented all the pockets where it would normally be silver. Those are in black, and I really like that look on these wheels. I think it really makes them stand out. This vehicle I purchased from, I think, the third owner of the car, who actually has another Supra now. But going into the story here, the Celica Supra, it is a Celica submodel at this point. The front end of this vehicle is approximately, I think it's 6 or 8 inches longer than a Celica, along with the wheelbase. The reason that is this is an inline 6-cylinder engine, and I'll get into that in just a minute. These vehicles retailed for right around $15,000, roughly, in 1986. And as you can see on the back here, as we pan around here, this has the third brake light. So the 86 model Celica Supra is the only one that has the third brake light. The third brake light was a requirement in the United States, and maybe in other parts of the world as well, starting in 1986. Now, there's a little bit of a story about the 1986 Celica Supra, because this was the last generation of the Supra that was built with the Celica. It became a standalone model in 1986 and a half. Toyota had a little bit of time because OBD1 was coming out in 1986, so Toyota had a little bit of a hard time getting the new 7MGE, which was a 3-liter dual overhead cam engine, to meet U.S. emission standards and stuff. It took them a lot longer to get it licensed than they had anticipated. So the 86 and a half Toyota Celica is the new generation, which is called the Mark III. This one is generally called the Mark II or the A60. In this case, this car was really an MA60 because it had an M series engine. It still does have an M series engine, but I'll get into that in just a moment. This engine in this car is actually a 3-liter 12-valve engine, which the 3-liter 24-valve engine that came out in the 86 and a half, that was the 7MGE. This is a 6MGE in this car, which is imported from Japan. It was never sold in the United States, and I'll show that in just a moment here. These cars, stock in 1985, were supposed to have, with the new intake runners and stuff they put in 85, supposed to have 172 horsepower at the crank. There's some debate about that with people, but I've been around long enough to know that that's pretty much true. I read the articles in Motor Trend and Car and Driver when I was in high school. These cars were only a few years old at that time, in the library at school. Now, going back into the engine here, this, again, is a 6MGE in this one. Now, this engine is going to look very similar to the 5MGE because it has the same basic head. It's a 12-valve head. Again, dual overhead cams, as you can see by the 2 cam towers. And this is an inline 6-cylinder engine, not a V6. You can see the 3000 on the intake. That's what differentiates the 6M. The 6M is basically the same lower end as the 7M engine, but the 7M is designated that way because it has the 24-valve head. Now, as you can see, there's an intake on this vehicle. This was all on it when I got it. I did put new plugs on it, and then this radiator mod was a requirement because I blew the water pump out of it and it spun the fan right into the radiator, which was the original radiator, and destroyed it. So this was supposed to be a Mark III Supra radiator, which can be easily attached to these, but this one required some modification because this is a 4-core radiator and it's not actually what it was supposed to be, but I made it work. I've added this electric fan and run it into the air conditioning controls from the old fan for the air conditioner, but I do not have that actually hooked up. I have never had to have a fan on this thing with this huge radiator on it. So This engine is supposed to produce anywhere from about 185 to 195 horse. I would guess with the air intake and the fact that it basically has a straight through muffler, that this thing is probably pushing the 200 horsepower mark with what it's got. So that was stock factory with a restrictive factory exhaust on it. And this type of plastic intake, this is actually part of the original intake, but these will let a little more air in. It's going to have a little bit of restriction right there. But yeah, under the hood of these cars were way advanced for their day. I mean, this car has cruise control, it had electronic climate control. The L models actually were the first car, Toyota, to have a trip computer in them that actually calculated fuel economy, range, and all that kind of stuff. The transmission on this thing is a 5-speed manual. And you can see this one's got some pedal add-ons on it. And the vehicle right now has 192, it just turned 192 on the way home from work last night. And these seats are a Recaro design seat that you actually see in a lot of Toyotas. The Corolla GTS, the Supra, they even basically just modified the cushions on it and used it again in the Mark III Supras. But these came out in 1982 in this generation of Celica and Supra. You only got these seats on the Highline GTS model, on the Celica, or in the Supras. Now, this model is called a Celica Supra. A lot of people call it a P-type because it has the fender flares, has the seats, the Recaro style seats, and I think that's about the wing, and that is part of the package. But actually, there was no such thing as a P-type Supra. That is something that was made up kind of by, like, the Mark II. There's no such thing as a Mark II Supra. That's something we make up in the Supra community. Pretty much universal now, but it's not official Toyota language. This is officially an A60. In this case, if you look right here, it's an MA67. So 6.7, I think some of it denotes left-hand drive, but the 6, I can't remember all the details on it. This car came standard with a limited slip differential with a 430 gear ratio with the 5-speed manual. So this baby, she's running about 65, she's running about 3,000 RPM, so she sings a little. But it's a good car. I'm going to go ahead and start it for you and get a little bit of sound. I'm going to set the camera back here. I don't know if it's going to give me a cold start because I did run it up here, but I will set the camera down here and see if you can get a good sound here as it fires up. That's Sylvia, and I've got two others just like this, P-type models. One's an 84 and another 86. My 84 I hope to have on the road here within the next few months. I was hoping to have it on the road for this car show that I might take this to tomorrow morning on Memorial Day weekend here. So, thanks everybody for watching this. If you want to see more of this more of this type of thing about my cars and working on my cars, please go ahead and comment in the comments. Like the channel, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I also do a bunch of sim racing. That's why the name of the channel is King Pit Dog Racing. You can look through all my videos on there. I do drive on Gran Turismo through PlayStation 5, and you can look through my videos and see if anything interests you. And I'd appreciate a subscribe and a like.